Oh no, what do I do? Microsoft has won. They have won the entire E3 conference because they showed backwards compatibility and not much else. Because backwards compatibility trumped everything, according to all the critics and everyone out there that watched the E3 conference of Microsoft. Backwards compatibility did it all. It made Microsoft now the greatest company in the entire planet because of that one feature. When Nintendo announced that they would have Ryu in Super Smash Bros., uh, that was over trumped by backwards compatibility. Even though the Wii U has backwards compatibility, but the Wii U's backwards compatibility sucks because it is Nintendo backwards compatibility, not Microsoft. Microsoft is the greatest backwards compatibility to beat everything. Even when Super Mario Maker was announced to come out in September of this year, that was trumped by backwards compatibility. Backwards compatibility trumped all of that. Even though Sony launched nothing but huge bombs, but they could not fight the great and awesome power of backwards compatibility from Microsoft. And even though that Sony has taken the exclusivity deal from Microsoft on their Call of Duty franchise, now map packs and all that will come to PlayStation 4 for the first time. It was overdone and overshot by backwards compatibility because backwards compatibility from Microsoft's Xbox One trumped everything, even God himself. Or at least that's what the Microsoft fanboys are keep saying. Look, Microsoft's conference was not that great. In fact, it was mostly pathetic. Yes, the backwards compatibility was big news, but the way the fans and the critics said basically that it trumped everything, and I mean everything, including Stone Fox Media saying exactly what I'm saying. Of course, he also said because of HoloLens. Forget that Sony showed a whole pack of fucking games on their medium. No, Microsoft and their backwards compatibility beat everything, along with the HoloLens that I didn't give two flying fucks about. Because right now, the internet is on fire, and mostly on Sony side now. And of course, you got your Sony fanboys that are completely ignorant or won't say a goddamn thing about Ryu from, Street Fighter being on Super Smash Brothers. No, no, that just doesn't exist. And the Xbox fanboys saying the exact same fucking thing. That was pretty fucking huge news right there. I mean, yes, the day before we knew that was coming out, but I didn't really think that that was actually going to happen. And then the next day happened, and holy shit, it did. It was true. And that wasn't even an E3 showing. That was a pre-showing. We even got somewhat of a date for Super Mario Maker. And I am looking forward to it because I just, want to make funny stages and really funny shit there. Mainly, I'm just looking forward to it because of all the crazy shit you can do. And like I said, as far as the Microsoft press conference went, the backwards compatibility was a huge news, but it wasn't a surprise to me. But then I'm hearing someone like Zephyrnix making his little video going, wow, I didn't see that coming. That's surprising, Zephyrnix, because I remember you making a video a year ago when they introduced the Xbox One, and you pretty much said that the Xbox One was capable of backwards compatibility. Hell, even I said it. I was not that surprised when I heard that news. In fact, I was with the group of people saying, like, why didn't they release this last year? But they're shutting it out going, well, Microsoft surprised us with the technology that I didn't know, but I did know it was coming. I did, and then of course, if you Tech USA, oh my god. Oh, fucking, my brain has split open, and now, a giant plant, it's just basically gobbling it up because fucking USA Tech. Whatever. Look, Anybody who looked at the technology of the Xbox One, the 360, the PS3, and the PS4 knew that, well, the PS4's backwards compatibility ain't going to happen. That's the whole reason why they bought that whole Goku and streaming thing and now on live and then call it PlayStation Now, which is a fucking joke. Because the whole cell processor, the PlayStation 3, is extremely high powered. And the GPU is a joke. And I'm talking about the PS3. The PS4, it's a completely different architecture. And hearing USA Today, USA Tech, getting up there and, View USA Tech or whatever his name is, getting up there and saying, well, they're completely different architecture. You know what's funny, US Tech, Review Tech USA? So was the original Xbox and the Xbox 360, but yet apparently the Xbox 360 had backwards compatibility for, guess what? The exact amount, same amount of number of games that came out for this that was backwards compatible with the 360 as well. Yeah, the 360 was backwards compatible with the original Xbox only on certain games for the Xbox One. I mean, the original Xbox. And here it is happening again, this time a year after its release, which is bizarre. I mean, it's not like they removed this feature that everybody knew that the Xbox One was capable of, so they could put in that DRM nonsense, but only have that failed, and then the next year bring that feature back. Huh? Really? As for the rest of the games, nothing surprising, because here's the thing: we knew Halo 5 was coming up. We knew that the next Gears of War was coming up, and we knew Tomb Raider was going to be shown, and we knew that Scalebound, I believe it is, and Crackdown 3 and Quantum Break were not going to be shown. But we do know that Scalebound and Crackdown 3 are going to be shown at Gamescom. As for Quantum Break, they've gone dark. I mean, let's say it may have been canceled. It's a rumor, but some people are coming up with the opinion that Quantum Break may have been canned because it's a little too complicated of a game to make, especially with the live action parts. There's a reason why people are saying that Sony won, and in my opinion, they did. Now, I didn't really care for Last Guardian, but I didn't expect it to come out in E3 or this year's E3. Yes, the game's dated and the graphics are dated. Didn't give a shit. Didn't even see it coming. I didn't even see Shenmue 3 coming, okay? I mean, I've heard speculations, but I didn't think that was coming. And I definitely did not expect that whole Final Fantasy. I'm not a big Final Fantasy game, but there it is. Which one was being remade? 17, I believe it is. Yeah, Final Fantasy 17. I didn't see that coming. It's a surprise. Because Sony really did keep a lid on shit. And Microsoft basically leaked a lot of crap out. I mean, the only thing that was a surprise was the backwards compatibility, but yes, it came out of nowhere, but it wasn't a huge surprise to me because I knew that this thing was capable of doing it because of the hardware. But and I also knew, and there were also tons and tons of rumors that Microsoft literally dubbed that feature and killed it in order to make their DRM come out. For that whole DRM policy that they wanted. We knew this was going to happen. I knew that Microsoft was going to release backwards compatibility to the Xbox One now that the whole DRM policy and that whole crap that they tried released and the whole 42-hour watch or whatever was dead. And Zephyrnix, if you're watching this is a personal message to you. You knew this too, Zephyrnix. You acting all surprised to me. Acting all surprised and saying oh, I didn't see this coming. Yes, you did. You saw this coming from a fucking mile away. We all saw this backwards compatibility was going to happen a mile away. I'm kind of upset that you sat there and lied in your video like that. But besides that, Microsoft just showed a bunch of games. I mean, yes, there was this cup game, which was, like a cartoon, an old style cartoon. It looked good. I'll admit to that. Hell, I even admit that the original PlayStation 360 was a far more superior machine than the PlayStation 3. But yeah, whatever that cartoon game did, yes, it looked good. And that's great. Of course, it's not the first video game to have that kind of animation styles to it, but I'll give Microsoft that. As for the guys who left the Ritual Studios in making that one game from the guy who created Mega Man, yeah, you guys are going to end up regretting making a game from Microsoft. I just know it. But Sony, they won. I mean, yeah, I didn't really care for these games, but they won to a simple fact, into just by doing something simple, surprising the living fuck out of us with games that we didn't think was going to happen. And of course, the biggest and most immediate shock that happened was Call of Duty Black Ops 3, which, I don't care, is getting the exclusive DLC on PS4 first, before Xbox and all the other consoles. That's huge. How the fuck did that happen? Call of Duty, ever since I believe Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 or even the original Modern Warfare, I don't know. But every time Call of Duty had DLC, it was going to the Xbox 360. Hell, even when they transferred over into the Xbox One, it was going to the Xbox One first. Every fucking time. But this is the first. And many people are saying, "Oh, this is why Shimnu needs funding and all this stuff because Sony spent all this money on it." No, they didn't, or at least that's what some rumors are saying. Because other rumors that do make more sense are saying that Activision made this decision because the Call of Duty franchise, when competing with the Xbox One and the PS4 was just selling out more. And this is true because when you look at it, the Call of Duty games that have been selling the most on this new gen, on the current gen, has been PS4. Advanced Warfare's PS4 sold more than the Xbox One, and so forth and so forth. And none of these people gave a flying fuck about getting the map packs first. So Activision said, all right, we're going to move all our map packs and exclusive stuff to Sony. Because that's what the customers want and that's what they're going to get. And of course, that does make more sense because Sony, this generation, has destroyed Microsoft. And yes, the Wii U's down there because people say, "Oh, there's no games I can play. I'm gonna go play Super Smash Brothers because there's no games. There's no track that this train is riding on. I mean, we're just riding on nothing because we're not on a track. I mean, this whole bouncing around and hearing that metal grinding on that track, there's no track. I just don't see it. I refuse to." Of course, there are some saying there's no games for PS4 and Xbox One. Yeah, like all the other Call of Duty games and all the other shit's not on Xbox One and PS4. Stupid fucking people, I swear to God. You know what? The PS4 is right now the highest selling console of all time. So for a console with no games, that's rather impressive. But I am worried about Xbox's future, mainly because Microsoft hasn't been doing very well in their other little industries, especially the Windows, the phone. I mean, Windows Vista has not done very well. And then you got Windows 8. Yeah, Windows 8 didn't do very good. And, and as for the phone, let's face it, no one's buying Microsoft phones. It's either an Android or an Apple phone from now here on out. There is just nothing there on my Windows phones. Even most major developers said they're not going to program. Even EA said they're not going to program for fucking Windows phones anymore. They have given up on that thing. But moving on. I do believe Sony won. They won this, and I think number two was the pre-show for of Nintendo, and dead last was Microsoft. Just they only had one shocker there: backwards compatibility. That was it. And I know that whole VR thing crap, but here's my opinion on the whole VR thing. And this goes for the Morpheus, not just the Oculus Rift. They're going to fail miserably. They are not going to go anywhere. They're gigantic headsets you wear on your fucking head to have this whole sense of some sort of virtual reality shit that we're just not there yet. And they're giving us bizarre fucking controllers that have nothing to do with it. And as for that Microsoft's Elite controller crap, it's a scuff controller. If you don't know what scuff is, it's easy. Just go to stuff.com or whatever. Scuff. STUF, I believe. And not only that, it's $150, which is about the exact same price that the scuff controllers cost. And there even have some other scuffs that are even cost less. And they even find that the scuff controllers are more sturdier than what that Elite is. The only thing is they put that headphone jack on that controller instead of putting it on their normal fucking controller. People are not going to drop their their normal controller that costs about $40. And these are the normal players. They're trying to go after these elite gaming types, but they don't have any really elite fucking games for their system. Since Sony has been taking all of them, and now they're trying to make this Scuff-like controller that they took from Scuff. Or all these modders who have modded the Xbox One controller for years. It's a fucking Scuff controller. I don't have one because I don't care. I'm not an elite gamer. But what idiot in their fucking right mind, except maybe those people making reviews and stuff, would literally drop their $40 controller and buy a $150 controller? And Microsoft is planning on having these new elite controllers replace their old ones for $150 fucking dollars? Fuck you, Microsoft. And they're nothing more than just scuff controllers. Scuffed by Microsoft, not by actual modders. That's all I have to say. See ya. And yes, I didn't really like all of Sony's press conference, but they did come up with surprises. Goodbye.